Hi guys, and welcome back. So today isn't going to be an herb video. It's about everything we've learned over the past couple videos, right? We've met hawthorn, garlic, hibiscus, rose. We've talked about history, traditional herbalism, modern research, how to formulate some teas in some videos in the ending, especially how to think like an herbalist. But if all you leave this series with is a list of herbs, then I don't think I accomplished what I set out to do, right? Because the lesson I hope that stays with you, while the heart drives everything, everything also drives the heart. Now I want you to think about that for a minute, right? Your heart doesn't live in isolation, right? It doesn't know that you labeled today Heart Day, right? It responds to your entire life, right? It responds to how you sleep. It responds to how you eat, whether you move your body, right? The stress that you carry, the people you spend time with can affect your heart, right? Whether you laugh at all. Have you laughed today? I mean, that's important. Are you resting? And I don't mean being lazy, but are you resting? Whether you're constantly rushing from one thing to the next, everything we do touches our heart. And I think that's one of the greatest lessons herbalism really has to offer, right? So one of the things I love, right, is that it constantly reminds you. So like herbalism constantly reminds you to like zoom out, right? If someone walked into my apothecary and said, Sarah, I want a tea for my heart, my first thought's not going to be, well, here you go, here's your tea. Now, I do have some for people that just want general, right? But if you're actually having an issue, right, I'm going to want you to tell me some stuff, right? Do you eat breakfast? You know, how's your sleeping been lately? Do you spend all day sitting? If you're like me, you spend all day sitting with your legs crossed, which is probably terrible for you too. Do you enjoy moving, right? Do you have anything that brings you joy? Because those answers really do matter, right? Not because I'm judging anybody, because I'm always starting a new something and then fail out and start over again. It just happens. But because herbs become much more meaningful when they're part of the whole picture instead of trying to carry the whole picture by themselves. So let's talk about something I think a lot of people need to hear. If you spent any time in health and wellness world or even in the homesteading world, right, you probably feel a little overwhelmed, right? It can feel like everybody's telling you if you aren't buying organic everything, grass-fed everything, growing all your own food, raising your own backyard chickens, grinding your own flour, right, growing every medicinal herb in your backyard yourself, then somehow, well, you're a failure and you're just doing it wrong. And if that's your lifestyle, or you have the capacity to do it all, and it brings you joy, well, that's great. And I genuinely mean it. But that's not everybody's reality, right? Maybe you're working full time. Maybe you're raising children and working full time. Maybe you're caring for your aging parents. Maybe you're 75 years old and you've just decided that now is the time that you finally have to take care of yourself and make your life better because you want the last years of your life to be the best they can possibly be. Holistic health isn't reserved for people with 10 acres, a greenhouse, and an unlimited amount of free time. It is for everybody, right? So one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the years is this. Don't let perfect become the enemy of better. If organic produce fits your budget or you have the capacity to grow your own garden, awesome, do it. If frozen vegetables are what you can afford this week, it's still vegetables. Do it. If you buy grass-fed beef, wonderful. If you can't, you can still prepare a nourishing meal with other options, right? If you have room for a garden, that's amazing. I gardened for years, right? I don't need to grow a massive garden for one person, right? If all you have is one little pot of herbs sitting in a sunny windowsill, that's a great place to start too. Your health journey doesn't have to look like someone else's health journey, right? It just has to move you in a healthier direction than yesterday. That's all you're competing with, is who you were yesterday. And that's why I don't like the word perfect. And as an A-type personality, sometimes that's funny. But I like the phrase intentional choices, because intentional choices meet people where they are. Maybe today your intentional choice is to take a 10-minute walk after dinner. Maybe it's to drink another glass of water. Maybe it's replacing one sugary drink with a cup of herbal tea. Maybe it's turning your phone off for 30 minutes earlier, or going do not disturb so you actually get real sleep, right? Maybe it's calling a friend that you've meant to talk to for ages and investing that time. They don't sound like dramatic decisions, but neither is brushing your teeth. And yet, those little things done consistently shape your entire life. Health isn't built in one grand gesture. If it was, we would all be fit and healthy. It's built in hundreds of ordinary choices that will quietly add up over time. And yeah, you're going to fail sometimes. But overall, that's where herbs fit into it, right? It's not magic. It's not a shortcut, not as something that erases every unhealthy habit you've ever done. I don't care how much lemon balm you drink. It's not going to undo an unhealthy lifestyle. Herbs are thoughtful and a time-honored support, right? Herbs will not replace movement. They do not replace nourishment of your body, right? If you're eating McDonald's French fries every night, well, that Hawthorn tea is not really going to help you. They don't replace sleep. They don't replace healthy relationships over toxic ones. And they don't replace working with a certified, like with a healthcare provider to figure out what's going on with more difficult issues. It's part of the bigger picture, right? And I think that's much more hopeful way of kind of looking at herbalism as a whole, because it means you don't have to change everything by Monday morning. Why do we all start diets on Mondays, right? You don't have to throw every food away in your pantry, right? You don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You don't need to become somebody else. You simply just start making one intentional choice, and then another, and then another. And by George, eventually it adds up over time. So people often ask me, right, what's the best herb for your heart? That's not the best question. The best question is, or a better question is, what are all the little things I'm doing every day that are actually supporting my heart? Or is it making its job harder? That's a different conversation, right? Because while the heart drives everything, everything also drives the heart, right? So if you've been following this series, right, you've seen that every herb brought something unique to the table, right? Hawthorn reminded us to appreciate our heart. Garlic reminded us that our kitchen was our first apothecary. Hibiscus reminded us that formulation isn't just about herbal actions. It's also about creating something you're actually going to enjoy using. Rose reminds us that beauty, aroma, and experience matters too. And none of those herbs tried to do everything, right? They each contributed something of value. And honestly, that's kind of how people work too, right? None of us has to do everything perfectly. We simply contribute what we can. One intentional choice at a time. If you're a gossip, you choose not to gossip today. That's actually very healthy, right? If you eat fast food all the time, maybe you decide to make a salad at home, right? Now, if you would like to try a gentle, everyday, supportive cardiovascular tea, there will be one down in the description below. And it's one of my favorite blends because it reflects exactly what we've been talking about through the series, right? Different herbs, different strengths, all working together, just like a healthy life does, right? So, as we wrap up the cardiovascular system, I hope you don't walk away thinking, well, I learned 4 new herbs. You can get a book out and learn all that stuff all the time. I hope you walk away thinking, I have more influence over my health than I originally realized. Not because you have to become perfect, not because you have to overhaul your entire lifestyle this week, but because tomorrow morning you have another opportunity to make one intentional choice. And then if you're feeling really excited, well, you can make another intentional choice tomorrow too. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't jump in the deep end of the pool without learning how to swim. That's how we all burn out, right? But ordinary choices become extraordinary results. That's the bigger lesson. So next, we are headed towards the immune system because whether we'd like to admit it or not, I can feel fall coming. And we're going to talk about the body's ability to protect and adapt. We're going to talk about some tonics. We're going to talk about how to use these herbs in broths and how to look at long-term support, how to maybe do things before we get sick, like all the types of things, because prevention, it's always better to never get sick than to get sick. So until next time, I hope you stay rooted. I hope you stay curious. And as always, keep growing in grace.